Hi YouTube, Fiona Corwin here today with my wife, who shall be wife for the duration of this conversation to maintain our anonymity. But I wanted to get together today and share with you guys a video about what it is to be the partner of somebody going through transition. And so I wanted to ask some questions. So with your leave, when did you first find out I was trans?
When you told me about 2.5, 3 years ago.
And how did you take that?
I didn't really have much of a reaction. I wasn't surprised. And I went out and bought you panties.
She did. What she didn't tell you is she also bought me bras, and that actually mattered more to me than the panties, as much because I had developed these breast thingamajiggers, and they hurt. And so it was important to actually support those, because owie, 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 owie. But yeah, she did go out and buy those, and left me in tears one morning just because it was such a really cool gesture. Then let's see. So you also made me up. You did my hair and did my makeup one time, and that actually gave me the sense that I could actually transition. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, actually, you had shown up with your head mostly shaved and your face completely shaved, and I said, "What in the hell?" And you gave me some of your, I guess, some of your ideas that you felt like you might be trans, and you also felt like you were not going to be able to transition. So I said, in the conversation, I said, "Well, hold on a second. I'll be right back." And there had been, oh gosh, I don't even remember what we had purchased it for. I think it was a Halloween thing, but we had bought a two-tone wig. And of course it had gotten stuck back in its little netting and back in its box and shoved in the top of the closet. And, with your head shaved, it was a pretty easy thing to do. Well, it wasn't shaved. You just clipped your hair very short. So I went to the closet and got the hairpiece out, and not very, without much difficulty, I guess, drug you to the bathroom, sat you down, and put makeup on you.
She did a good job.
And then I took pictures of the end results. You were initially shocked and then very emotional, and then very grateful that I had convinced you we needed to do it.
Mm-hmm. So I imagine you had fears, like when, because we talked probably for 6 weeks about whether or not transition was going to happen. What kind of fears did you have there?
Most of my fears were for your safety. I guess that I wasn't too terribly worried about myself, and I didn't really care what people would think or say. That wasn't my concern. It was just a concern for the small conservative town that we happen to be in, and the oftentimes violent reaction or response to people who are purposefully and, unfortunately ignorant of the world of the trans person.
Gotcha. In the beginning, I had a roughly framed plan. Tell them a little about that.
Roughly framed is, in fact, the correct term. It was a 5-year plan that turned into a 3-year plan, which turned into a less than 3-month plan. It was awesome. So the 5-year plan was that there was going to be period of kind of adjustment so that she felt comfortable in her skin, and then it was going to be followed closely by hormone replacement therapy, followed closely by, obviously growing her hair out, getting people used to the idea of seeing her with longer hair, more androgynous clothes, and then finally coming out and saying, this is what I am, and obviously at that point, well, you're less than 3 years in, and I'm saying that that wouldn't have worked anyways. But the whole point was to kind of do a very slow, gradual transition to make it comfortable, I guess, for everyone around you, and also to not rush you, so that if there was ever a doubt or ever a notion, I guess, that it wasn't what you really needed to do, that it could be stopped. So the 3-year plan looked like this. It looked like hormone replacement therapy, androgynous clothing, growing hair out, and then, doing a very quick kind of coming out at the end. And the 3-month plan looked like growing hair out, wearing androgynous clothes, and barely starting on the spironolactone. I don't even think you had started hormone replacement therapy. And pretty much Fiona sailed out of the closet like the QE2. It was awesome.
It's true. Certainly my experience is that once I started down the path, I pretty much just had to run. I got a taste of freedom and a taste of being an authentic human, and I pretty much just had to do it. You probably have a different experience around the children than I do. How did they take me transitioning?
I think that initially they were thinking it was a joke. When they started to see the obvious changes and see that your commitment was there, then it was kind of an immediate, and granted, teenagers are basically all about what things look like. So the fear for them was that it would be a topic of ridicule for them. And so they struggled a little bit in the beginning. Obviously, your son was very upset that the strong male figure had become female. And so there was some disillusionment and kind of abandonment issues surrounding that. Once they realized that the hormones actually help to curve out some of the anger and, how do I put this? Aggression issues.
Rougher edges.
Smooth down the rough edges. They were actually appreciative of that no longer being there. Mm-hmm. And from their perspective, it went from an "are you freaking kidding me" to, now they call you their stepmom and introduce you, by name, and are very proud of you. And in fact, our youngest son has been to at least one big rally with you and has been very proud to, say that he has 2 moms, and has been very proud to, walk hand in hand with you during the rally. So that was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, we're kind of come a long way with that stuff. Family.
Yes, such an ugly subject.
How did your parents take it?
Oh, they were absolutely and still are in abject denial. There are issues where they refuse to call Fiona by her name or use her gender pronouns or gender specific pronouns. There are also cases, well, just having come through the holidays and come out the other end whole and intact and having not killed anyone, that's a good thing. We realized that because of their perceptions and their ignorance and their stubborn lack of educating themselves, stubborn refusal, I guess would be a good term, to educate themselves. There has been a lot of anger and denial and a marked absence of invitations to family dinners. Who knew?
It's never happened to a trans person.
Oh, heavens, no. On one hand, and I won't deny it, it has been a little heartbreaking that both sets of parents have chosen this particular path. On the other hand, however, it has been a remarkably freeing experience in that we don't have to go to family functions. You know, we're not required by guilt or compulsion or obligation to go and hang out with people that don't really care to see us and don't really have any appreciation for who or what we are. So I think it's actually been a good thing that this has come about and that we are now free to choose our own path together.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, there's a certain amount of regret there, obviously. There are relationships that I value and will probably value for the rest of my life that I may never have the opportunity to enjoy with the kind of facility that I once did. And that's a drag, but you're right. There's a certain amount of freedom that comes with being able to be who you are without curtailing that for the comfort of other people.
Well, and not just curtailing it, but in so many, and it's really more clear in hindsight, I believe, that it's not just a curtailing of, it is, in fact, a complete lie of omission that you cannot be who and what you are because of fear of rejection or fear of disappointment to your family. That's all kind of BS. I don't advise anyone to be anything other than who they are authentically, because I feel that that is a huge detriment to both physical and mental health. And it's very important that you kind of be at the top of your game when you're going through transition, because I got to tell you, it's not easy.
So quickly, because we're running about 13, 14 minutes here. Tell me about sort of the costs, and you could talk about financial costs, you could talk about emotional costs, you could talk about relationship costs, the costs associated with transition, and then I'll start there.
Okay. There are certainly a lot of costs involved, and many of them are financial. There are the obvious, the DHT blockers, specifically like the spironolactone, or if they're starting on the injectable birth control type DHT blockers. Also the hormones, the many different labs that need to be drawn, and the consistent follow-up with the primary care physician. Those are big. And also finding a primary care who will actually willingly take you through these steps. That's the first thing.
Mm.
But there are quite a few doctor's visits. There are quite a few changes in medications. When they're starting you on the hormones, they usually like to start low just to rule out any major side effects. And then, of course, they have to increase those gradually to get you to the level you need to be. There is also hair removal. There are also, visits to the salon for for hairstyle advice and cuts and colors and all that lovely stuff. There is, and mostly I would have to point towards trans women because obviously that's where my knowledge base is, but makeup and clothing that you don't have that you need. Fortunately for us, we can kind of share same size feet. That was serendipity, I think miraculous that we actually ended up that way. So closet full of shoes we can both wear. I like it. And we can of course swap clothes to an extent. But these things are not things that I think early in transition are paramount in your mind. So just understanding that, there's also laser hair removal. There is for the older set, like me and you. Oh, not old, okay, sorry. The young at heart, who have a few gray hairs. There is electrolysis because the laser hair removal is not very effective. There is also for some individuals facial feminization surgeries. There are for some of those individuals who wish to kind of leap ahead. They know exactly what they want. They've been working on transition for years. There are surgeries that are for breast augmentation, and then obviously, culminating in the bottom surgery to more conform with what your brain tells you. So there's a lot of costs associated with it. There are also costs that kind of range from health to mental health. There are costs in terms of family, in terms of jobs, in terms of finding ways to stay healthy, both mentally, physically, emotionally, throughout the whole process. Because you may or may not actually encounter some resistance from friends and family. Hopefully not. Hopefully we are an enlightened world.
This is delicate, but I've kind of become, I think, and I don't want to be arrogant, but I've kind of become kind of a pretty woman. Tell me a little bit about that, because I know that we've had some jealousy and some weird stuff come down around that.
Oh, you're gorgeous. I won't even sort of lie about that. The weirdness and the jealousy that has come down has been pretty surprising, actually. And it is that when Fiona and I are out in public, it is typically Fiona who gets noticed first and who gets followed around and hit on and all of that. And it's probably because I'm a tad bit hostile. I can be pretty hostile whenever people start following me around and I'm uncomfortable with them. But for the most part, Fiona's very friendly. She's very convivial and outgoing. And so she typically responds to that type of attention in a positive way. So she gets hit on a lot. She gets flirted with a lot. There are, I guess they are more comfortable turning to, conversations of an inappropriately sexual nature. And so It's actually more about kind of wrapping my brain around it, because we've been together for 12 years. So, this is all still new and awesome. Actually, it's been a hell of a ride. But on the same hand, it's also it's kind of shocking and surprising. Yeah, we dressed her up for in a Captain America costume for Halloween, and she just about brought the house down. So
It was fun.
it was absolutely a blast, and of course, it was a lot of fun to see just how attracted to her people are. So
So we're kind of sitting at 20 minutes, and we're kind of both talkers, you may have noticed. We could probably go on for, another hour. But I guess, what final thoughts do you have for partners of people who are trans?
really, I just have one final thought, and that is, if you truly are in love with your partner, then it doesn't matter what package they come in. It doesn't matter that you married them looking one way and they end up looking another, because deep inside they are the same person, and they are still that person that you fell in love with. So, obviously I don't have any religious limitations or, I guess, boundaries of that nature. So this for me was not difficult. There was a moment of grieving in there, in that although I have lost no one, I have lost an ideal of someone. And so there is going to be a period of grieving. However, this has been exciting. It's been a great ride. We've had a lot of fun, and we've learned a lot, both of us. So I'm not complaining.
Very cool. I was sitting here thinking about what we stepped over, and there's only one piece I think we stepped over. How do you deal with having married a man and then end up being married to a woman? Did you become a lesbian? Were you always a lesbian? How did that play for you?
I don't have any problems or issues with people labeling me, because, obviously we have been labeled lesbian. It's not actually a point of contention with me at all, because you can think what you wish to think, and you can put whatever label on me that you wish to put on me, and it only matters to you. It doesn't actually matter to me unless if I choose to take it in as the truth. So really, people think what they think, people do what they do, and it doesn't mean that they're doing it to you. And it's easier if you look at it from that perspective and realize that you are still with the love of your life. And
even if she has better hair.
Oh, shut up. You have better legs. I don't even want to talk about it. So you are still with the love of your life, even though she may steal your shoes. Yes. You're wearing mine now. So it makes it easier if you are able to detach from what society may say, what friends and family may say, what strangers incidentally may say, and their opinions about you and or the way that you are conducting your life. It's really easy to make your own choices and be your own person if you can just let it go.
Thank you. I'm probably going to post this in its full length, as much because I think there's a lot of valuable information here as anything. But also in gratitude to you to take the time to do this. I know this wasn't how you wanted to spend the afternoon, but thank you. And remember, folks, life is beautiful and every moment precious. Remember to kiss the ones you love and tell them that you love them. I love you.
And then you too.
And call your mom. She misses you. Thank you.